What's up, y'all? How are you guys doing? So this video is super long, and that's because we are going to accomplish so much. So not only are we going to make the API call from our code in order to get the movie recommendations, but we're going to link that to our search bar so that users can actually type in genres and get movie recommendations based off that genre. So in the video before this one, the previous one, what he did was he created the backend node server, and that's the endpoint that I'm actually going to hit in this video. If you like this video, maybe you're feeling the vibes, or maybe you're like, hey, I learned something. So if you have any of those feelings throughout the video, make sure to subscribe. Also make sure to like the video, and let's just get into it. So I actually coded this ahead of time, and what I'm going to do is talk through it now, just because sometimes when I'm like typing and talking and trying to explain things, it's like so much going on. So I'm trying something new, so we'll see how this goes. One of the first things that I did was I wanted to test out the endpoint. So what I did was I used Postman. And Postman is an application that I have downloaded on my computer, and it's great for making different API calls because it's in an environment where it makes it very easy to do. It's great UI, and you don't really have to focus on the coding syntax. Instead, you can focus on making the API call and seeing if it works. So what I did was I used a get call, and then I added the endpoint, everythingblackentertainment.herokuapp.com. So I'm making a get request. I have the URL that I'm trying to hit or I'm trying to fetch. And what you're going to see me do is I'm going to add in a token. So this token is the API token that is needed in order to get responses back. So what I did was, I don't want you guys to see the token because, it's like, shh, nobody see your tokens, that's hidden. So what I did was actually created an environment variable. You hit the gear icon, and then that's where you can manage and create environments. So what I did was, this is where I actually created EBE, stands for Everything Black Entertainment, and I added my API key there. And once I had that, that was really all I needed. I was able to make the request. And what's also great about Postman is that you can actually get the code that's working behind the scenes to make this work. So if you hit on the code button, you can see that you can select different languages and you can actually see the code that it will take to implement it. So I actually copied and pasted this, and I had to remove certain things that I didn't really need in my code, but it worked. But in this video, I'm actually going to use fetch in order to make the API call, but I just think it's super cool how you can actually get the code from here. It works, and it's like one thing that's like, check, done. Now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to actually make the API call from our code. So what I did was I used fetch, and I'll have the documentation for fetch in the description box, but this is something that has very easy syntax, and it can help us, get the results from this endpoint so that we can later show it to the user. So what I actually did first was I created a folder called services, and inside services I created a file called movieservice.js. So I decided to call it movie service because in the future we might have a music service, or we might have a podcast service, a YouTuber service, something like that. So that's why I decided to call it movie service. And as you can see, what I'm doing is I'm actually making this function, and I decided to export it just because I'm going to use this in another file, and I am making the fetch request. And you guys are going to see it doesn't really take that many lines of code. So inside fetch, I add the URL that I'm trying to hit. Then I also add an object, and this object contains the method, which you saw in Postman. I use get, and then also the headers. So I have a token, and it's equal to that API key. What you see me do here is add the keywords async and await to the code. So since fetch returns a promise, async and await will help us to work with these promises so easily, and await specifically will help us to pause our code until the promise fulfills. What I actually did before this was that I created a file. .environment was the name of the file, and what I did there was I added the API key. So after you do that though, what you want to do is go to your get ignore file, and you want to put that file, you want to put that inside of your git ignore, telling Git that you do not want to push that code onto GitHub. And the reason why you don't want to push that code is, again, your keys, they secret. So yeah, our Git movies function is looking good. So let's actually call it from our app.js file. And I want to see if I got any errors. And bam! Yes, I did. So the error I was getting was around the CORS policy, and I didn't have a certain field. It's called like the accept control something something. I didn't have that. So I remember though in a YouTube video that there's this middleware API that you can add to your code that will add the header for you. So what I was doing was I found that YouTube video, so happy. So I just copied and I just pasted that into my code in the fetch URL. But I was not done there. So after that, what I did was I went to my code and I actually wanted to see what get movie returns. So I printed that out and I saw that it actually returns a promise, which is good. So now we just have to handle the promise. And we just learned that you use, the team, the partners, a sync and a wait in order to kind of like look at the results of a promise and wait till it fulfills. So that's what I'm doing here. So I'm using the use effect react hook, and I'm using that to deal with the results of get movies, which is a promise. Now, I was messing up this syntax a lot. Like, I was seriously messing up where I was supposed to put the await and the sync. That was one thing. But with development, it's never just like a perfect path, to coding something. You're gonna get errors. So you just see me dealing with that. So thank God that there was a great message there that helped me through this. So now you're just gonna see me struggling, but you're gonna see me like reading that and then trying to fix my code. So now we're going to create the search bar, and previously we were going to use the Elasticsearch UI. We were going to use basically their framework or their library, but as I was doing research, I saw that there's only a 14-day free trial, and there's a way that you can like go around it and basically create your own functions and stuff so that you can use their framework without buying it. But it just seems like a lot of work, and I was like, Maya, you can just build this yourself. And of course it's not going to be to their grand extent of it, because they have a lot of collaborators and a lot of people working on it, but I was like, I could make do. So what you're going to see me do is I'm going to create a new file. I'm actually going to create a new folder, and inside that folder I'm going to have a file called search bar. And within search bar, I have a form field. If you want more information on form fields, you can go to W3 School and look at their documentation. But I decided to go with the form field because I basically need a place where the users can write input, so an input tag, and then I also need a way for them to submit what they're typing in, so like a submit button. So that's why I was like, okay, it seems like a form is the type of vibe that I want. And y'all, if I wanted to, I could style this form field or this search bar myself. But style is so. CSS is very intense. And to make this responsive and all that great jazz, it's going to be a lot of work. So that's why I decided to just go online and look at different basically designs of search bars and just use their CSS. Okay, y'all, so you see that was me styling the search bar. You see I added a height and a width, but that's not good. So again, if you want a video on how I do CSS, like from beginning to end, I can definitely do that. But but instead I thought it would be kind of fun to just see what's out there. So I was looking at different search bars. Yeah, I thought that one was really cool. And I was like trying to find the one. So that's just me looking at different ones from online, and I'll definitely have this in the description box. But then I saw this one. And I was like, I was feeling this one. I was like, done. I like you. A little disclaimer, you should definitely look at the code from online before just copying and pasting it into your editor. But I was on a roll at this point, so I just did that. But yeah, definitely look at all of the code before you just add it into your code base. So that's what you see me doing, and I found one I liked, and I put it in the code. Okay, so while styling this web page and the search bar, I really wanted a background that pops. You know, part of me was drawn to that one because I loved how there was like a huge background in the back. So what I did was I just went to Google. I typed in, I think, group photo of black actors, and then the first one I saw, I was like, ah. I was like, you are the one. This photo is the one. And it was, because I loved it so much. So yeah, it was apparently a Netflix photo of a lot of black actors from different Netflix films and TV shows. And I love the photo so much. Sturdy Code, let me know how you think about it. I think it might be cool too, once we have more functionality and different endpoints, to maybe make that like a sliding effect, like a carousel of different photos in the back. That might be super cool. But yeah, I love how this is looking so far. I just want to make some minor tweaks. So some things I changed up was, I know I made it like thicker, so you can really see that there is a search bar. And I just made other little minor tweaks. Then I also went in and I was like, okay, this header is struggling. So I made a little quick changes there just to make it look a little better. If you made it to this point in the video, please let me know. Like, y'all, you made it to this point. Y'all my sis, my bros. We fam out here, because that would just be super amazing. And I know this video is super long, but I really want to show you guys, like, it's a lot to create a web app. But at the same time, like, you're seeing us do it. You can do it. So if you do have an idea, just get a friend, form a little team, and I'll be so excited to see what you create. And when you do create it, let me know. I know some people tell me they want to start YouTube channels or blogs or whatever it may be. I love to support other people, so I will definitely support y'all. Okay, so the function I want to take care of first is handle input. So as a user is typing in different characters or different words into the search bar, we want to capture that. The reason why we want to capture this input is because later we're going to compare that with the results from our API so that we can see if what they typed in is equal to any one of the genres that we have, then we know what we need to display. Now we're going to import the useState React hook, and this will allow us to use state within our functional component. And basically our state starts off with the empty string because at this point the user has not typed in anything. And then you can also see that at the bottom where I have my search bar, it is one of the components that I have in this file. I'm actually going to pass in our handle input function into our search bar. So one of our props is going to be called handle input, and it's going to be equal to our handle input function. So then you can see that I actually go into that search bar file, and you can see what I need to do is now pass in props. So now every time a user basically starts typing, so I'm going to use the basically on change in order to accomplish this. So when they start typing, I'm going to basically the handle input function is going to run. And what we're going to do is as the user types in, we're going to set the input to be that event's value. So you can see me doing that. And in order to accomplish this, I use React hooks, so that was pretty fun to use. So that's how I'm using handle input. And then the next function I want to talk about that has a little bit more logic there is handle search. So what I want this function to accomplish is I want it to make our API call, and after it makes the API call, I want to store those results. So within the search bar component, we're going to go into our form and remove that action equals the quotes, just because we don't need to send our form data anywhere, so we don't need to use that attribute for now. When the user clicks enter or clicks search, what we want to do is first we want to prevent the default from happening, because with a form field, when you click basically submit, the form refreshes, and we don't want to do that here. So what I'm going to do here is just say for this event I want to prevent the default, and then I'm going to basically make this an async await type of situation, just because get movies is going to be a promise, so we need to wait until this promise resolves in order to get the response. And then the response, I want it to be in an array, just because it's easy to iterate through arrays, and that's how I want basically the response to be of that type. And you can see that I import it at the top. And then you can also see I'm following basically the same syntax as how I use input and set input. So I'm going to have movie results and also set movie results. And first, our movie results is going to be empty. It's going to be the empty array. So then once it's an array, we can set the movie results to be the response. So I hope that makes sense, but basically what we're doing is we're just making our API call and we're storing it as an array, and then we're using our state variable to save that. So that's what we're doing there. So now you can see here is I eventually want to display what I get. So you can see that I'm going to have a movies variable, and what I'm going to say is that as long as there's some movie results to show, what we're going to do is we are going to map over what we have. However, when you print that out, it's still not the data that I want. So we're going to have a nested map. I said it, nested map. We are wilding out here. And what we're going to do is after we get basically the first round movie array, we want to go deeper and actually get the movie. And then once we have this movie, once it's really just an array of different objects, which is the movies that we want, we're going to create a function called handle genre filter. And now this is where the magic happens. And I think I was tripping on this part. Might have taken me a little bit of finessing to get it, but it's all good. So in handle genre filter, what we are going to do is we're going to have a for loop, so that we're going to go through all of the different results that we have. Okay, so if the genre that we want is equal to the input that the user was typing in, we are going to return that. So here you can just see me add a whole bunch of print statements just because I really wanted to understand the different variables, or I wanted to really understand what was going on in the code. So I'm just doing that over here, printing it out and seeing what I get. So the way I decided to return this is by using a card component from React Bootstrap. You guys know I don't like reinventing the wheel out here, and I thought the card component has exactly what I need. For example, I want to display a photo, a title, I want to display a paragraph text or overview about the movie. So it had exactly what I needed, so I decided to use that component. So you can see all I need to do is basically import it into the file, and we out here, you know. So that's what I'm doing there. And yeah, as you can see with the card component, all I have to do is basically pass in the movie.title for the card.title element, movie.overview for the card.text element, and then yeah, we're also going to pass in our movie poster. So I ran into a small little issue where I was like, how am I going to display this movie poster? All I had to do was Google it, so I just needed to add this URL to the beginning in order basically to get the path of the movie poster. So that was chill. And yeah guys, so that was basically the logic of it. Okay, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video and you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe because there will definitely be more videos in this web app making series. Also, let me know which series you liked better. Did you like the interview prep? Do you like this one? Both? Neither? Let me know. So thank you so much for the support. Y'all, next week I'm coming out with like 2-3 videos. So I'm super excited about that because I'm going to be grinding because I love doing this so much. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video.